What's going on, everyone? I'm the casual reviewer. I'm the fine line between critic and casual viewer, and on Thursday I saw It Chapter 2. Alright, yeah, so like I said, I saw It Chapter 2 on Thursday, and I wanted to make a review then, but I didn't really have time until now, so you're probably going to see this on Sunday or on Monday. And I also know it's pretty far along enough to make a spoiler review, but I don't think there's really anything that I need to go into specifically. So I don't think there's any sort of specifics I really need to dive deep into. So I'm just gonna make this a non-spoiler so anyone can watch it. So to start out with a synopsis, which I always do regardless if I feel like you probably know. So it's the Losers Club now as adults. As at the end of It Chapter 1, if you saw that film or if you read the book, they make a pact that if it ever comes back, that they will come back together, reunite in Derry, and defeat it once and for all. I have to say, you guys probably don't know, I'm a gigantic It fan. I read the book twice, I saw the miniseries a few times, and I saw the first It Chapter 1 that came out in 2017 5 or 6 times in theaters, and I own it, and I've just seen it a million times. It's just, I love that film. It was great. It has flaws to it, but I just love the material. So the source material, and so I just love it. It was my favorite film of that year. Not what I thought was the best film of the year, but my favorite by far. And or maybe not by far, but it was my favorite. I was so psyched because I knew it was gonna do well. Not 124 million opening box office well, or like highest grossing rated R horror film well, but I knew it was going to do well, and I knew there's a second half, and I just knew they were going to come out with It Chapter 2. So ever since then, I have just been waiting. It has been my most anticipated film since then, other than probably Endgame. Just because, I mean, that's literally what, 23 films in the making. I've just been anticipating this film like crazy, like just most anticipated. And I have to say, I'm disappointed. I don't know. I'm really disappointed. I was going into this film thinking like no matter how bad it is, I'm going to love it if it's bad. And I came out not loving it. Disappointed. Honestly, not a good film at all in my opinion. There's a couple redeeming factors in this film, but nothing enough for me to like it. To want to really see it again or anything like that. I might give it another shot because it's It, and I love It, and I really want to give it another try. But let me get into what I liked and what I didn't. One thing that has reoccurred in Stephen King's books, or at least that I've heard, because really I've only read It. I've seen other films that were based on Stephen King's books, but yeah, it's well known that Stephen King isn't the greatest at closing out his books, and so, like you've seen with The Shining, they kind of changed a bit about his book, which a lot of people loved. I didn't like the film. Stephen King didn't like the film. The Mist changed the ending, which Stephen King said he wished he would have made that the ending for his novel, and I thought The Mist was great. In this film, it's just, in the miniseries and the book, no one's really grabbed on too tight with the adult book, or has enjoyed it that much, the adult version. And so I was just really hoping that now, in the age that we're in, they can make it more gritty, and maybe based off of what films have done in the past, maybe kind of just change it around a little bit and make it better than what the book had. And I just feel like they didn't do that. Okay, so let me start with what I did like. What I loved about like James McAvoy's character Bill is I feel like they kind of made him Stephen King-esque, because he is a writer that couldn't really, I think he was a screenwriter, and it was hard for him to come up with endings as well. And so I kind of liked what they did there. I thought that was really cool, and I mean, I caught that. The acting was good as it could be. I mean, the writing wasn't good, and I'll get into that. But James McAvoy, Jessica Chastain, Bill Hader, James Ransone, which I haven't seen in many things, and there's a couple other people, I don't know them by name, but you're gonna have good acting. It's just gonna happen. I love the cinematography. Just the way it looks is great. I just, the first film, and it came into this film, the editing I didn't really like. I thought that was kind of a flaw of the first film. Same thing in this film. Again, I'll get into that. And then the score I love. I think they misused the score in this, as far as what parts they put it in, and what scenes they had them, and which parts of the score, or which different scores they put in certain scenes. I wasn't a big fan of, but I love the score in general. Just like Oh man, it's amazing. Or when Pennywise is there, like Pennywise's theme, I guess you would call it, when it's just like "Brr," and then it's like ghostly. I don't even know, howls in the background. So I don't even know how to explain it, but I love it. The score is great. Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise is amazing, and so I kind of let me go into what I didn't really like about this film, because there was more that I didn't. And as I said earlier, just the writing. The writing wasn't good. I did not like it really at all. I thought it was really corny, just very poorly written. If there was improv on the swearing, I didn't like that, because as a kid, obviously it's kind of cool because you're not supposed to be doing it. I think there was a little too much in this one, as if they never really matured, which obviously with age is going to happen. And I just kind of didn't like, there's still adults out there that do it. And like, I mean, for instance, I have a cousin, loves swearing. I love my cousin. She's great. She's an awesome person. Nothing, it doesn't make you a bad person. I think it just distracted, because it was like every other word was profanity. And it was just like, I don't know. And then there's certain thing when they flash back to the kids, because in the book, that's how they actually do it. So um, they kind of made this part, the chapter 2, closer to the second part of the book, where they're adults but they flash back to kids sometimes. And then I just didn't think it was as funny, or as charming as it was in It Chapter 1. The kids scenes, I don't know, it just didn't feel like the original, like the It Chapter 1 from 2017. Bill Hader was great, as you probably heard before the movie came out. Everyone was praising him, and he did do well. And he was funny in parts, but it's Bill Hader. Anything he says, it's gonna be funny, no matter if it's poorly written or not. But yeah, so the writing, I couldn't. I mean, there was a scene where Pennywise sang, like he was singing, and it was not creepy at all. It was awkward, cringy. A lot of what people said was just cringy, and just then you got scenes where they have really good scenes where they're building intensity, and either it's just not scary, it doesn't lead up to anything scary, or like they just try to throw humor in it, and it's like, are you trying to be a horror film? Because the heart of this film should be horror. Like, well, the heart of the film is the coming of age, and the Losers Club. Like, that's the heart of the film. But the film itself, the genre, it is a horror film. It's a horror novel. That should be the forefront. You should have the coming of age story and the comedy as kind of subgenres in the background that just give a little release at times and at the right times. And sometimes it can be hard, I understand, like horrors or drama films, anything like that. And so I just think they just really poorly timed the comedy in this. I really wish they would have capitalized on the great intensity that they had in some of these scenes. Like, for instance, there's a carnival scene. There's a couple carnival scenes, but the scene specifically that you see in the trailer with James McAvoy or Bill, I thought that was a great scene, but I just felt like it kind of ended really fast. Like, really fast. Like, pretty much what you see in the trailer, maybe add an extra, minute of him just, like, trying to get around the maze and just trying to figure his way out. And then that's it. Like, there's only maybe an added extra minute from what you see in the trailer, and it's just, I don't want it to be a useless extension of a scene where it's just like 5 minutes of silence and build up. But if you can properly do it, then you can make it a little longer and intense, and then have a lasting effect. And it is a 2 hour and 50-minute movie, which I don't think there's any issue with this being 2 hours and 50 minutes. I know a lot of people do have issue with that. I just think they didn't utilize the 2 hours and 50 minutes that they had, because it's a complex film. It's not just a horror film. It's not supposed to just scare you and pointless jump scares, like it's building up and then a squirrel pops out and audio just blasts in your ear, and like these cheap scares that mean nothing and that aren't scary at all. They're just stupid cheap scares that people do to try to make their film scary. And that's not what this film is. It's not what it's supposed to be. It's more complex than that. And in the first film, you had build up, you had longer, more intense scary scenes. You had some shorter ones, but you had those longer ones too. And in this, I just felt like they didn't have that. Like, maybe they tried to make that the ending of the film, where the last like 30 minutes. I don't think that was the right place to have. I mean, it is the right place, but I just don't think that they delivered in the ending completely. Like, it wasn't as horrible as a lot of people are saying, I don't think, but it definitely wasn't like a great ending, or what I was hoping for. Something else that I didn't really like was the editing. I just, again, this was something that they brought. I was hoping that they changed from the first film, but when there's an intense moment that happens, you kind of want to sit on it and let it, because you're sweating. You're like, it's intense. It's an intense moment. You want it to last. That's what a horror film does. Like if you're going to see a horror film, you want to be scared. You want to feel the fear, and when you just chop it up so that it's like an intense moment, and then immediately next scene, like it's someone saying a joke, or it's a comedy scene, or a comedic relief, like immediately then it like relaxes you, and that's not what a horror film's supposed to do. You're supposed to feel on edge. The score editing as well, there was parts where I'm like, why is this score playing here? Like, I just feel like they're just trying to get nostalgia from the 2017 one and be like, oh, I remember how this made me feel in the first one, in parts that didn't, I don't know, that it didn't feel right. I mean, at the end of the day, um they tried, the actors tried, just the writing was so bad, and so I have to say, I was going into this film no matter what, I was gonna love it, and I didn't. So yeah, I'm just disappointed. I mean, if you guys go see it, I hope you enjoy it. Really, I hope this doesn't hinder your experience if you haven't seen it yet and you want to go see it. Get your own opinion. Maybe you will really like it. And if you do, that's great. That's awesome. I hope you like it more than I did. I mean, it's better when people love film. So I hope you enjoy it if you go see it. My rating for this film out of 10, I'm going to give it a flat 5. A flat 5 out of 10. Not the worst movie ever. Definitely not what I'm looking for, though. And maybe I'm even giving it a little higher of a rating just because of the fact that I love the source material. I love Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise, and I love the cast. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too generous with it. I don't know. So go ahead, leave in the comments if you saw it, if you liked it, if you didn't. Let me know if I missed out on anything, whether something that was good that I didn't talk about, something that you didn't like that I didn't talk about. Please let me know. Write down in the comments. But other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you later.